Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joyce Cook, and I'm with Bob Hester and Ira Stevens, and this is another episode of Sobering Truths. Um, how's everybody doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Iris?
I think it's great. It's a wonderful spring day. Couldn't get any
Absolutely.
better.
Right.
Absolutely.
Um, I wanted to start out, and let me get it pulled up here. Um, and this article from it's from Arkansas. Uh, is it Arkansas yeah,
Yeah.
Family Council, or is it Arkansas Family Council?
Family councils,
Just
I think.
Jerry Cox is ahead of it. The blunt truth: marijuana isn't medicine. You know they've touted it and touted it and touted it that there's so many people that need it, and um, Iris, you know this too. They can get it without the THC in it because you had a daughter that went through leukemia treatment, and they gave her a derivative of that.
Yes,
And
it's called Marinol, and that was back in 2000, and it increased her appetite and did all of that. But when they screened that we need to have marijuana for medical purposes, there was already a medical marijuana, and it was called
Right.
Marinol.
right,
So some of us, pointed that out to them and then, you got the comments from people, oh, that doesn't work as well. And it didn't heal my brother's, brain tumor and things like that. And it's what you get from people who want the addictive qualities, the mind altering chemical in it. And they'll make up any reason, and I have used CBD, which is the alternative. It's the version of pot that does not have the THC in it. And it has done some things for me a couple of times. But I don't see a lot of people saying, well, we could use the CBD instead of the THC.
Well, we know most of the time that's a cop out. They just want it several years ago, someone wrote a letter to the editor touting marijuana use for that type of thing. And so I did some research and I responded with another letter to the editor showing that you do not need I believe the THC is what you call the part that makes you high,
Yeah,
that you do not need that. They have the other part. It works fine without the part that makes you high. So it's just a cop out for people who want to get high,
they
basically.
want to get drunk. They want to get high.
High, correct. Yep, that's it.
well, I just wanted to read a little bit of this article. I've got it up on the screen, and we'll have that in the we'll leave that on the comment section on YouTube. Nationwide, 24 states have legalized recreational marijuana, and some 40 states, including Arkansas, let healthcare professionals write notes authorizing people to use so-called medical marijuana, but a growing body of scientific evidence shows marijuana poses serious health risk. A major study by the Lancet, and that's a major medical group. I think it comes out of Great Britain, but it recently found marijuana fails to effectively treat anxiety, depression, or PTSD. The findings raise serious concerns because PTSD is the most common qualifying condition listed among quote unquote medical marijuana users in Arkansas. It's almost a joke. And I'm not saying that people may not need it like your daughter, but it should be under medical supervision. And she was in a hospital, and I just think that if you have a hangnail now, they'll write a script for you.
It is. Let me ask you this question, and it's a tricky. Is there not money behind this thing too?
Yes, follow the
There's
money,
always
money, money,
money.
money.
There's always money behind it.
Always money. Yep.
By the way, Joyce, I
Yes,
can't see Bob. Bob is not up on the screen, and I couldn't see what you were reading from either. That wasn't up on the screen.
I'm sorry. I will put that up there. There it is. The
Yeah,
audience
there it
can
is.
see it now. That's my
Yeah.
fault. And then it talked about another recent study led by researchers at Johns Hopkins, and I think everybody, if unless you live in a cave, have heard about Johns Hopkins, very prestigious place. It said found young people who suffered from cannabis use disorder were at greater risk of later being diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder. And the actor, somebody might have to help me with his name. He was on All in the Family. His son stabbed him and his wife to death. And some have surmised, I don't know his medical history, but he had drug problems from the time he was 15, I believe, and started
Yeah.
out with marijuana. And this stuff is mind altering. Do we not want to stop this stuff? I mean, we're
Well,
playing.
people think they've stopped it. People think they've stopped it. We've had all the DARE programs in schools and things like that, the DARE to keep kids off of drugs and things like that. And we've had therapy, and we know that there's a problem, which is what surprised me when they wanted to go to the medical marijuana, because everybody knew that it would spread from medical marijuana in every state that I'm familiar with that started out with medical marijuana. Well, not every state yet has gone on to recreational marijuana. So on one hand, we say we want to prevent it. We want to keep kids from doing this. We want to keep kids away from drugs. And on the very other hand, we make it possible for them to get it and for it to proliferate.
Yeah.
People are double-minded.
Oh, it's I don't know how much advertising they do for this stuff now. I don't watch much TV or anything like that, but I know the alcohol is promoted every which way you turn, and it's of course the number one gateway drug, worse problem than all the other drugs put together right now. And I'm assuming they will end up promoting marijuana use as much as they do alcohol. I don't know that.
Well,
for a
they
fact.
tried to pass a recreational marijuana. I don't think it was the last legislative session. It was the one before that, and they got it shut down. So it's coming. They will continue to press forward to get it.
Yeah, they will. They will. And the reason we're talking about this is because there are young people that are not drinking alcohol, but some people are turning to marijuana as a so-called healthy alternative, but it's not. And on down in the article, it says researchers at the University of Cambridge, also prestigious, released a study this year, and there's links to these studies in this article that demonstrates marijuana use raises a person's risk of stroke by 37%. That is scary. And
Most people don't know that. I suspect most people don't have a clue about that.
I mean, how many how many hundreds of chemicals are in it, and you just don't.
Well, I'm personally, I'm assuming and think that the people are so ignorant about alcohol, they know generally, well, yeah, I know it. I mean, a lot of people, well, yeah, I know it's bad or whatever, but it's just generalization. And I'm assuming that's the same thing with marijuana. They don't know the background. They haven't looked at it like we're looking at it and like we've looked at the alcohol to see just how bad it is. They just, yeah, well, it's a problem, but no big deal. But it's a very, very serious problem. And alcohol, y'all know I've been calling it a national crisis for 2-3 years now. And we will simply be substituting one crisis for another. And if we're not careful, if this marijuana keeps coming the way it is, because again, they will treat it, when it's legalized, it's treated much better. If it's illegal, they're not going to advertise and promote it. But when it's legal, like alcohol is, they'll promote it anywhere and everywhere they can. And I'm assuming they will probably do marijuana the same way, which will increase the use of it, which will increase all the problems like it does with alcohol.
Yeah, and people just think it's harmless. I've heard them say, "Oh, it's an herb, like it's a healthy thing," but it's not.
They just need to study it.
Yeah,
and look at it. And
look
see,
at the facts,
and they will begin to realize then that it's a problem and getting much worse daily.
Yeah, and I
Well,
don't
it also
want.
leads into other drugs. You start out in pot, and then you progress to the other drugs. So it's always been a gateway drug.
Yeah,
And like alcohol has always been a gateway drug.
Yeah.
So, the the less importance we put on that. And as far as the young people, yeah, their rate of drinking has gone drastically down because a lot of them have just picked up pot because they see that, well, it's not as bad as alcohol. It doesn't create the cancer, but they're going to find out that it has the same type of effects, negative effects, as alcohol. It's just that, we don't put stuff out like that as much as we should, with the specific negative effects. Bob mentioned people know that it's bad generally, but they don't have the
No.
specifics. So,
And that's that regarding alcohol. Maybe we now need to do one booklet like this on marijuana or something. But that's what this booklet's all about to make people aware of just how bad it is. And again, so many people look at that and say, "Well, I don't drink, so I don't need that." But they don't understand this is how it affects everybody, whether you drink or not. You pay for it. We who don't touch a drop pay for all those problems. That over $800 every year that it costs every man, woman, and child in America. That comes out of our pocket. It affects us, and we need to do something about it. But let's go into this gateway drug thing. We've mentioned it in the booklet here, but I just printed off some stuff a while ago about it, and it says alcohol gateway drug. This is a study of 12th graders this was in 2012, and from the Journal of School Health. The background is the gateway drug theory suggests that illicit drugs, legal drugs, such as tobacco and alcohol, serve as a gateway toward the use of other illicit drugs. However, there remains some discrepancy regarding which drug, alcohol, tobacco, or even marijuana, serves as the initial gateway drug, subsequently leading to the use of illicit drugs, illegal drugs, such as cocaine and heroin. And of course, the purpose of this study was to determine which drug, alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, was the actual gateway drug, leading to additional substance use among a nationally representative sample of high school seniors. This was a national study they did. And this won't mean anything, but with this investigation conducted a secondary analysis of the 2008 Monitoring the Future 12th Grade data. Initiation into alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use was analyzed using a Gutman scale, and that's just a method that they use to determine this. So, what were the results? The results from that Gutman scale indicated that alcohol represented the gateway drug, leading to the use of tobacco, marijuana, and other illicit substances. Moreover, students who used alcohol exhibited a significantly greater likelihood of using both licit and illicit drugs. And that's mentioned, I think, in our little booklet here. And y'all have heard me say numerous times, and probably on the podcast, we will never solve the other drug problem until we decisively deal with the main drug problem, and that is alcohol. We must deal with alcohol, or the rest of it, we're wasting our time, we're spinning our wheels. But alcohol is the main one. Then, as time goes on, marijuana is likely to be the main gateway drug as it's promoted, encouraged, and made legal and all that sort of thing. And so what do they suggest should be done about it? Well, here's the conclusion. The findings from this investigation support that alcohol should receive primary attention in school-based substance abuse prevention programming, as the use of other substances could be impacted by delaying or preventing alcohol use. Therefore, it seems prudent, smart, for school and public health officials to focus prevention efforts, policies, and monies on addressing adolescent alcohol use. Are we doing that? Is anybody aware of if anything's been doing that?
Well, I mentioned before with some of the like DARE programs, which I think are like 6th grade. Yeah, alcohol was mentioned in those. Both my kids attended the DARE seminars, way back when, and alcohol was mentioned. But Bob, the number one problem, the reason alcohol is the gateway drug, it's because so many parents have it in their homes and kids see parents drinking.
Exactly. Well,
and a lot of
it's legal. It's legal and promoted.
It's
legally promoted, and you're right. So many
but
parents have.
Most of the time, people are, and I was really wanting to say this. We are herd animals. Human beings are.
Yes.
We follow what other people do.
Correct.
And we look to see what people do, and then we do that also. So, in the homes with parents, kids look to see what their parents are doing, and then they will copy that. And if parents drink, the kids will drink.
Right, absolutely.
And that's, and the kids then will, a lot of times, even if the parents don't do the illicit drinks, the kids will move into that when they get later on in school or out, around friends and things. So that's why that alcohol has always been the gateway drug, because most kids have their first exposure to it at home.
Yep. And it's our job, is what we want to do, is bring attention to every aspect of that, whether it's advertised every which way you turn, from TV, radio, and magazines, billboards, to the promotion of it by the parents who think nothing of it and drink. They may not be alcoholics, but they drink, and the kids are usually going to do more in that direction than what the parents do. But I want to do one more thing on this. This article said, an anonymous reader writes with news of a study out of the University of Florida, which found that alcohol is the biggest gateway drug, the use of which increases the likelihood of other drug use. Quoting, in the sample of students, alcohol also represented the most commonly used substance, with 72.2% of students reporting alcohol consumption at some point in their lifetime, when we have reference to that in our booklet. Comparatively, 45% of students reported using tobacco, and 43.3% cited marijuana use. That's compared to 72.2% for alcohol. In addition, the drug use documentary found that substance use typically begins with the most socially acceptable drugs, which would be alcohol and cigarettes, then proceeds to marijuana use, and finally to other illegal, harder drugs. Moreover, the study showed that students who use alcohol exhibited a significantly greater likelihood, up to 16 times, of illicit and illicit substance use. And I think we referenced that in our booklet too. So we have got to deal with the number one drug problem. We have got to do that. It's just insane not to consider that, but that's what we're up against. Is we're up against a society that has so accepted it and thinks it's okay that even many Christians, if not most, think it's okay. They don't see a problem with it, and that's what we're facing in trying to get people educated on this thing. They just, what's the big deal? And I maintain they do not know enough about it, or they would be concerned about it. Because that's what happened to me. I had no clue it was bad as what it was till I got to looking at the facts, and it blew my mind. And I thought, why are not people up in arms about this? This is so bad. And then, I started calling it a national crisis, and found out like I mentioned before, that some of these other organizations were already calling it a crisis. And I didn't know that. I just knew it. I just looked at the facts and realized this is a crisis. And what do you do with a crisis? What do you generally do or should do with a crisis? You deal with it, don't you? Don't you try to do something about a crisis?
Yes.
Or you just say, well, that's a crisis, so big deal. No, I don't think so. I think you do something about it. And folks, that's what we're about here. That's what we're trying to do, convey the facts here to the public, and through this podcast and other means, to get people to understand that we need to deal with this, because we cannot allow this to go on. The monetary part is incredible, but the human pain and suffering, and I may have mentioned that on the last podcast, I'm not sure, is incredible. Why do we want to allow these people to be hurt so bad from this, when we could actually do something about it? Well, are we going to stop all of it? No, we're not going to stop all of it. You're not going to stop all of anything bad, but you can stop some of it. And if we could just save one life, it would be worth it.
And if it's a crisis, which I believe it is, the churches should be helping us. The pastors should be helping us. But it's, like you said, it's gotten into the church that it's okay to drink. And I've heard, I'm repeating myself, but the Christian liberty, it's your Christian liberty to drink. Well, it may be, but are you hurting other Christians? They're hurting their witness to me.
Absolutely.
When they're drinking.
Yeah.
And what I want to know, what good does it do you? What good does it bring to society? What good it causes at least 7 kinds of cancer. It can cause depression and any number of things.
You go on and on and on.
I could go on and on and on. But what is the good about it? I mean, what benefit?
It brings in a lot of money.
It what?
It brings in a lot of money. That's what it's.
Oh well,
about.
that.
And who does it bring the
That
money
is
in?
why it's so prevalent, and that's why we, the cities incorporated. That's why it's all built around the fact that it provides a lot of money. You know, from
And
the very top, from the ones who produce alcohol all the way down to the ones who sell it.
that,
And
that,
in public,
exactly, that's what I was going to ask you. Who is it benefiting financially? But who pays for that? What? How much is it we pay for that every year? Over $800 every year for a man, woman, and child to pay. So these people are getting rich on selling alcohol and kill their kids and kill families, break up families, and every bad thing you can think of. We pay them to allow them to do that. That's incredible. That's just
and when you
unbelievable.
factor in that it's a gateway drug,
Gateway drug.
and if people don't start the drinking, many times they won't start the other illicit drug use because we see what the illicit drug use is doing in society now. Our jails are full of people they don't, that started from drinking, and then
Yeah.
moved into the drugs and things. So
Yeah.
it's a chain reaction.
Yes,
Like I
it
said,
is.
humans are herd animals. Like one does it, the next does it. It's a chain reaction, and we see all of this. And right now, our prisons are overflowing. Of course, that also provides money for your local police and county, groups and stuff. But it's built on the back of the prisoners and the people who have gotten caught up in this. It's a real Gordian knot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me compare the cost of alcohol to other drugs, because many people, when you mention alcohol, well, let's deal with these drugs. We got to deal with these drugs, and I'm going to maintain till the day I die, unless somebody can prove otherwise, and I don't think they can, that we will never solve this problem until we deal with alcohol. That alcohol is the worst problem. But anyway, alcohol misuse costs the U.S. economy more than other drugs, with excessive consumption estimated at $249 billion annually. That's 2010. These costs, driven by lost productivity and healthcare expenses, and we've mentioned the healthcare in particular, generally exceed those of illicit drugs, approximately 193 billion. That's what the illicit drugs cost us. About 50 billion more that the alcohol cost us. So, and when you consider that the amount of illicit alcohol is directly attributed to alcohol, the number one drug, then you have to put that cost on alcohol, actually, a big part of it. Maybe not all of it, but a big part of it. We're not saying that everybody that does hard drugs did alcohol, but I'd say a vast majority of them did. Total economic impact, while other studies placed alcohol abuse at $166.5 billion compared to $109.5 billion for other drugs. Again, there's about 50 billion difference. Recent data highlights the gap remains significant, with alcohol causing roughly 2.9 times the financial damage of other drug abuse in some analyses. So, our real problem, our first problem, our main problem, the problem we need to deal with first is the legal drug problem, alcohol. And then, I'm not saying we don't try to deal with these other things in ways, but if we just concentrate on these other drugs, we're wasting our time. We're spinning a wheel. It's never gonna solve it, and it's gonna get worse. Like you're talking about people accepting marijuana and making it legal and then promoting it. It's just gonna get worse. So we really need to understand what they're trying to do with this marijuana and try to do everything we're can to stop that, just like Jerry Cox is with his putting information out. And then we need to continue getting this information out about the number one problem, alcohol.
Right. And they say we have a mental health crisis, and you see these people on the streets now. You see them in Jonesboro now. The people panhandling, and I'm not saying that all of them are alcoholics or drug users, but or have mental disorders. But it's been in the news about the crisis with the mental problems for people. And if marijuana does that, what does that say?
Correct. Marijuana, just like alcohol, it affects your brain. It's in our booklet here. It talks. We mentioned about the connection to suicide, and how many young people commit suicides, and how many of the accidents on the road are suicide from being drunk or drinking alcohol. It will lead to suicide. It leads to mental problems. I mean, common sense tells you that, and we've all seen enough of it to know that. And the same thing with marijuana. It's going to just make problems and problems and problems. And sooner or later, it would. If we don't deal with these things, our society crumbles.
We need a everybody on deck, all hands on deck
Amen.
approach to it. The schools, kindergartens, middle school, high school, churches, they need to be a big push there. In all these schools, instead of promoting silly stuff like, you can change genders and indoctrinating students on that, we need to do something that can really help and teach them the negative aspects of all this, which to me it's all negative about alcohol, marijuana, and any illicit drugs. And just have an all-out campaign, have commercials on TV showing that. The message they're getting right now is it's okay to do it. It's just a herb. It's medical marijuana. You feel depressed. You feel sad. Get your doctor to write you a script for that.
Yeah. It's,
Or have a good drink.
Yeah, a good stiff drink.
There you go. That's if you'll go back and look at the old movies, and I don't know new movies, they're worse than ever about promoting everything bad, I guess. But 99 out of 100 almost, but at least 9 out of 10 of those old movies, unless they're strictly family movies, will have alcohol prevalent in them. I mean, it's just as casual as drinking water, as casual as walking down the street. Somebody go into the house and boy, I had a bad day. You need a drink. Or go in the house, boy, I've had a bad day. I need a drink. I mean, it's just everywhere you look there, it's promoted. And then considering the way it's promoted by all the media, if we would just quit, if we would just stop promoting it, if we did nothing but stop promoting it, that would put a big dent in it, I believe. And marijuana is going to be the same way. We got to make sure that is not promoted in any way, and we need to stop it from.
Bob, I think you're right, but I also see something from the other end. Why do all these people want to use mind-altering chemicals? Alcohol, pot, any of the other drugs,
Yeah.
they're all mind-altering.
Correct.
Why don't we try to also work at the same time to convince kids, adults, old people, whatever, that, there's no reason to use mind-altering chemicals. Because that's where it comes from, people who want to get happy
Yeah.
with either drugs or alcohol.
They've got that
can't
idea.
live they can't live within themselves. They're not happy, and they want to use something else to make them happy. So,
Yeah, I'm for doing anything.
as long as they do that, I don't know how we get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm for doing anything and everything we can, and also praying for a great awakening, great revival. That would solve a bunch of these problems as much as anything would. But we just need to be doing things. And right now, nobody's, silence gives consent, as Plato said, and there's silence all over. The silence is deafening. There's silence all over the place. We need, Joyce mentioned the churches. We need the churches to come alive. And, they don't have to spend all their time talking about alcohol or anything like that, but once a year during this month is Alcohol Awareness Month, do a sermon on it. Do a sermon on it even more often than that. I mean, these young people in the churches, they need to hear it's bad too, because they can be influenced. If they don't get the negative side of it, then they're going to get from their buddies, boy, this is fun, this is good, what's wrong with this, and that sort of thing. So the churches need to come alive, come awake, and start. They're doing a lot more than what they're doing right now. And I don't know how many preachers preach sermons on it, but I hope some of them are. I hope a lot of them are. But if they're not, they need to be, because this thing, again, is a crisis, and it has to be dealt with. And that means take action. That don't mean sit on your duff and, well, it's a crisis, so big deal. That means we take steps. And we're here on this podcast and on our organization, Arkansas Family Coalition, to try to give steps that people can take to try to solve this problem and make it not as bad, at least.
And I just saw this article here, and I'll put it up on the screen. It's also by the Family Council. Despite legalization, illicit marijuana is still a problem in many states. You know, that was one of the pluses that they touted, right? That, wouldn't be coming in from other countries. And it says, in Maine, the Portland Press Herald writes, law enforcement experts say cheap, sometimes tainted weed grown by Chinese criminal groups is getting into the state's medical market. Well, it's tainted. What's it tainted with? Maybe fentanyl, because they've been trying to kill us with fentanyl. And says the DOJ had said organized crime from Mexico and China may be making millions of dollars from illegal marijuana in states like California, Maine, New York, and Massachusetts, despite legalization. So there goes that argument.
Yeah.
You know what's wrong with the legalization that's causing these people to do this is when you legalize it, they also tax it. And when you tax it, you make it more expensive. So people will go buy the cheap stuff, the illegal stuff, from under the counter because it's cheaper. And that's when they get the tainted marijuana and things, that's been cut with other things besides just pot. So that's another problem that adds on to that is when you tax it, that raises its price.
Yeah.
You just can't approve of it in any way and decrease the problems with it. You've got to stand against it and say it's wrong, and we've got to stop it cold whenever we can and take it back the other direction, actually. We've gone with the alcohol. Well, we know. I mean, everywhere. I mean, even our dry counties. We voted counties dry. We can't have our counties dry in spite of what we want. And so they'll do. I'm assuming they'll probably do the same thing with the marijuana. They'll just bowl us over with it and do what they want to do, like they are with the alcohol.
Yeah, they don't listen to the
They don't
people.
listen to the people.
We already have several stores that sell the medical marijuana here
Yep.
in town.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And on in this article, some of these people, the hippie types, I guess, they think it's they think it's a herb. That's the word that's what one told me. It says, the marijuana plant itself easily absorbs toxins in the soil as well as chemicals or other substances sprayed on the plant. As a result, marijuana may contain pesticides, heavy metals, mold, or other contaminants. Now, these people, a lot of them, they're wanting to get, away from that and get healthy, and that is not healthy right there.
Yeah, I
That
like
is
to say they
disastrous.
claim that it's an herb. It's a beneficial plant. So is Jimson weed. You know what Jimson weed is called? Loco weed, because
Yeah.
you can use it and it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
So, just calling something an herb doesn't necessarily mean that it's, good for us. Like I said, if people didn't want that high, they wouldn't gravitate toward alcohol and toward pot and things like that. Because, they also sell CBD, which is a component of pot. It just doesn't have the THC in it.
Right.
And it has some good medicinal qualities. But what did they go for? They went for not the medicinal CBD, the medicinal pot that's mind altering.
Yep.
I will never understand it myself at all. Well, guys, I think, do you all have any more comments to say about this article?
Now we just need to keep doing what we're doing and keep pounding and pounding and pounding until more of society gets on board with us and tries to take this a different direction in alcohol and keep the marijuana back and all the things that come behind it. I mean, the alcohol's been around for almost ever, but now we've got all this other stuff available, and who knows what will be available on down the road if we accept this. Then what's next? What's the next acceptable thing?
Cocaine? Mm-hmm. But, until next time, we hope you enjoy the podcast and join us for our next podcast. Thank you for listening.